All of you know that this is Tariq. So, Tariq, tell us about what you heard about at school. Tell us what's going on at school.
Um, there was this thing that happened in health class. These people came and they're called Crisis Center North, and they were telling us about how they had all these things, like kind of like a therapist and all these other things for like companions, and they wanted to connect families, they said.
So, they wanted these people that came into your classroom. This was in what class?
Health class.
This is in health class. So, they want to come in and they wanted to tell you guys that they're there for you. Their opening statement was they care about you.
Right.
So, what did they say exactly?
They said that they wanted to connect families and that.
How were they saying they want to connect families? What was their deliberation on connecting families? They want to connect families.
By having you talk to them in like a private room about how you feel, and they said you had to get permission unless you're over 14, and they weren't going to tell your parents about anything that you said.
So you saying that these people that came into your classroom that was allowed by your teachers said that they want to connect the families.
Yes, ma'am.
But isn't your family already connected?
It is.
So how are these people actually thinking that they're going to help you? So they said they want to put you guys they want to talk to you privately. But if you're over the age of 14, you don't have to get your parents' permission.
Right.
But if you are not 14, you would need to get your parents' permission.
Yes.
But you also said that they said even if you didn't get your parents' permission, that they would still talk to you, right?
No, ma'am.
What was that we had to sign something?
I think they wanted you to sign a certain paper, but they didn't give it out. They're just trying to help if you have a broken family and they want to talk to you about if like something's happening at your house and
So they want to get in your business. Now if something is going on at your house, they want you to feel comfortable to come and talk to them.
Right.
Thank you. Well, this is why this conversation is so necessary for us to have, because our children are being subdued by people in authority that parents are trusting to be teachers and counselors and all of that school, the whole school thing. So I have been talking to Tariq about some things, and we're just having a basic conversation about things that's going on in our world. It's starting to happen in our schools where they are hiring these facilitators, so to speak, therapists to come into our schools and talk to our children without our permission. I want to thank you for talking with me right now. Now I'm going to bring Pocket in so that he can sit and we have this conversation.
Yes, ma'am. And they also said that they were coming 3 times more this year.
They're coming 3 more times this year. Yeah. Okay. All right. So thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
So that brings me to this question right here. What is an advocate? First of all, having that conversation with Tariq, do you think that these people that came to the school that are not exactly known to us, but do you think that they are there for our children's good? I mean, how are they going to bring the family together, talking to our children without us knowing? Yes, you can sign a paper, but do you know what you're signing, parents? This is where this conversation actually began. First, I want to ask you, what is an advocate? Do you actually know what an advocate is? An advocate is someone who actually speaks on behalf of someone, who protects them and stands before them, correct?
That's correct. Mm-hmm.
In our school system today, what we've been listening to and hearing about, not only child sex trafficking, not only that, but the dark side. You've seen a video that we've already put up about the dark challenges. And then now, of course, there's the transgender whole idealism going on.
Yeah, coming into grade schools.
So this is the beginning of something that we need to step into and be advocates for our children. This is why we need to be advocates. The reason I brought my grandson on is because he's going to school. We've been talking about some things, these things that's been going on with the transgender society and how it's happening. It's not that these kids are waking up one day and saying, I want to change my body. That is not how it's happening. They're being persuaded by social media. They thinking that it's okay. They are feeling bad. They're sad. They're whatever is going on in their life. It could be just an emotional moment for them. But our phones are listening. Okay, that's the first way it happens. Our phones are listening. So when they go to open their website or whatever it is, they're on social media, it directs them to a page where they can talk about their feelings. And when they start talking about their feelings, the first thing they hear is, maybe you are in the wrong body. Maybe you are transgender. Maybe you are a girl. Maybe you are a boy. It's suggesting these things to them and causing them to feel bad about worse than what they came in feeling. Okay, so that's the first part.
Yes, these are not adults. These are not 18-year-olds and that sort of thing. These are very, very young children that are being influenced by adults in ways that I think most parents would not approve.
Right, they are not being approved at all. So, give me 1 second. I'm going to. So, we watched several videos. This is what's bringing us to here. I was watching some videos. One with a young lady named Chloe. Then I watched another video, and you know when you on your YouTube or whatever you are, if you watch something, it brings you to another one, especially whatever topic it is. And because I watched a movie called Sound of Freedom, that opens something up inside of me. It opened up not only a curiosity to understand what's going on, but what can I do as a person in this society to help. If I saw someone like a man, he's dressed nicely, but then he's with a boy that may be dressed that looks filthy, what do you do? So I was on social media, on YouTube, and I saw this video with this young lady who was changing back from, she's a girl, and her name is Chloe, but she had been depressed. She went online and she thought she was in the wrong body. This is how it all began for me. So as I was listening and to her story, I was sharing with Andre. Not only did I share with him everything that was going on, we ended up watching some videos together. Each video, okay, let me put it like this. One video was a young lady talking about being, how it happened for her, how she even came to this at a very young age. She was depressed. Then she went before the judge, and I'm gonna put all these clips at the bottom of my video. Okay, so she went before the judge to share what's going on and how she was manipulated. Then, okay, and the testosterone and all this stuff that they've been putting into our children, which is poison, is what they're putting into them. It's changing their mindsets and causing them to go down a place where they wouldn't want to go. It's changing their whole body. Then
and their whole mind and
right.
Spirit.
Then
really...
right, and then I watched after that a mother who was talking about how it all started at school. This mother is in California. She is not only an advocate, an activist for, it's a whole bunch of parents coming out sharing the demise that social media has caused. Not only social media, but the doctors and lawyers, doctors and the medical field, how they are multiplying and standing behind changing the hormones of our children by using testosterone and estrogen at a very young age, as young as 13 years old. Also, you see the whistleblowers. These are the people who decide to come out of the medical fields and talk about what was happening, what they were doing. And just all, it's different. And then you got all of these girls and boys, these young, they're like 25, now they're 25, but they were actually started this at the age of 20 or 13 years old, where they were transgendering at a very young age, but they didn't understand what was going on with their bodies or their minds at the time. But when the school system stepped in with their therapists, that's where the dividing factor came in. They started to believe that they are not in the right bodies. So that's how we come to sit here and share with you what you should start thinking about. Like, think about your family, look at your children, watch what they watch, talk to them. They shouldn't be behind closed doors for hours upon hours and then come out of there all depressed and you don't even ask them what's going on. Eat with your children, see what's going on with them, go to their schools, talk to be involved in your child's life, because if you don't, there is somebody watching that's going to take over your child's mind and your child's body if you don't pay attention.
Yeah, this is a world in which is invading people's lives. The technology is allowing it to happen, and people behind the technology, not necessarily the programmers, but people who are using the technology can use it for some very bad reasons, bad motivations, and trying to, well, let's just say indoctrinate children.
They are indoctrinating them
in ways that would not be approved by parents if the parents knew what was going on, and therein lies part of the problem.
Right, parents not knowing what's going on. So parents, we're really talking to you. Teachers, we know that it's not all the teachers. We know that it's not all the administrators. We know that it is not the entire school system, but
there are some.
But just like when they took God, the prayer, and all that out of school, everything dark has started to rise up in the school. So just say, when your kids go to school and they come back with papers to sign, make sure you read the papers. Make sure you talk to your child about what's comfortable and what's not comfortable. When they start talking to your child about sex, that shouldn't be there. They shouldn't be crossing that line. That should be yours and yours alone, to introduce sexual body parts, to introduce the topic of sex. It should come from you, so that when other people outside of your home tell your children something about sex, they would be able to say, I already know that, in their minds. They're not really necessarily trying to combat the teachers, but they're not believing everything they hear because they heard it from you first. Information being passed to our children today is not something that we want them to hear. I'll use this right here. This is some of the things I picked from the discussions on the videos that I watched. Depression. If your child is depressed and they have a phone and you have not guarded any of the things like parental locks on the phone, if they're depressed, social media is going to be an answer. Social media is indoctrinating our kids. It starts, like I said, at a young age. Kids start to rely on social media, which we know are not real people, but there's a social agenda behind social media where the predators it's some more than others. We're talking about kids that have it's so much that I need to calm down so I can say it coolly.
It's very difficult because it's so pervasive, and if it's not controlled, then the wrong people and the wrong messages can be just,
I'm not even going to say can. Pushing. It's already happening. We are past they're trying to get your kids. If they were trying to get your kids, then we wouldn't have so many depressed kids walking around. It's not that they're just depressed because they're sad or whatever. They're depressed because they're hearing all of this trash and they're believing it. Gender ideology is a real fact, causing them to question themselves by pointing out that they are in the wrong body. That's what social media is telling them. They hear things like, if you don't like your body, you are trans. If you don't fit in, you are trans. This reminds me of the trickster who often causes us to question ourselves against the Creator. So, parents, I am begging you to wake up. Wake up and listen to your child. Talk to them. Talk to them about their friends. Get to know who their friends are. Have them come over to your house, or you get involved in your child's life. Do not leave your child to the teachers.
Yeah, and we need to be involved with the schools.
We need definitely.
So parents and teachers make a team. I mean, my son's a great teacher. His frustration sometimes is that the parents aren't cooperative. The parents aren't as involved as they should be. It is a team, and it is like has been said in the past. It takes a village to.
And a village is
raise
not just anybody.
Yeah.
A village is not just somebody coming into the village. A village is people that have been around this child or these children since they were little, and they trust them. The way our world, the ones that are not in your world, are grooming your kids, are making them feel comfortable about talking about a topic that they wasn't used to talking about as young as the age of 5. Guys, look up transgender, where the kids are. These kids are, come here, Tariq. These kids are, Tariq is 13 years old. Almost 13. But he cannot, his mind, his brain cannot understand what depression is. He cannot identify all of his emotions. We have to help him understand his emotions and where they're coming from. He could tell us what he's feeling, and then we're able to help him identify, because we are relatable. We can relate to it. We don't just leave him to his thoughts and imaginations and idle. We don't give him a phone and say, go play with the phone. We have to sit and talk and be a family and integrate, be involved with your family and talk to them, so that social media will not cause them to ban you.
And this is education, and it never ends, no matter how old we are. There's always things to learn, but we also have to be aware that there are those forces, some you would say satanic forces out there, that want to lead all of us in the wrong direction. And children are especially vulnerable, because if adults have a problem sometimes separating some of these things, children, they're too easily led by people that don't have the right motives.
Because they're influenced. They're easily influenced because they are children. So another thing we have is, Tariq said it in the very beginning of the video. It's separation. Thank you, Tariq. He's listening. But they want to separate families. They want to put the kids in a room to talk to these so-called therapists, for these therapists to pretty much coddle them in the way they feel and then lead them in the wrong direction. They want them to come into these rooms, and I'm not saying all, but this one video that I linked below this video is a mother who's talking about how her daughter was a captive audience to being seduced by thinking that the therapist was okay. And once one of the ladies who is a whistleblower in the link, she talks about once the therapists come in, the therapists they point the kids into the next step. And that next step is them getting the hormone change. And guys, do you know what hormone blockers are? Okay, Tariq, I'm using him again as an example. He is 12 years old, going to be 13 soon. And he can be as young as 13 years old for them to think that they want to be changed, that they're feeling bad in their bodies. Once they get it's called
Or even younger.
it's called the puberty blocker. Once they get the puberty blocker in their system, it changes their body parts. Okay, if a boy is his age, their private part doesn't grow any more than that. They are now incapable of having a relationship with the opposite sex, or any sex for that matter. They will not be able to have sex. They are now erectile dysfunctional at the age of 13.
Or less.
It changes their body parts. It makes it changes a girl's. First of all, she's not ever able to have any children after this. And it says something about growing a little penis where her vagina is. I'm sorry to be graphic, but hey, this is what this is all about. You need to know more about what's going on behind closed doors at school, in their rooms, when they're by themselves. Who are they talking to? Because if they're not talking to you, you're leaving the door open for somebody to talk to your child. You definitely do not want social media to talk to your kid about what's going on with them. You want to talk to them. And as a parent, as just a person, as an adult, as a social media user, as a phone holder, a phone handler, if I say something about something that I'm looking for on my phone, or I want to look up, before I can finish my sentence and I go on my phone, that picture of that thing or a sentence about the thing I was talking about is on my phone. Why? Because Google listens. We actually had to go on in our settings and turn off the voice activating and the ads on the phones, because social media is listening. Google, they're listening through our phones. They can see us all the time as long as your camera is open.
Those of us that are old enough will understand, certain words, but that whole Big Brother is watching comes from the book 1984 by George Orwell. I recommend it to everyone because we are living that prophetic book now. It was written in the 1950s.
That's right.
Okay? And so this whole invasion of technology, while some of it is good, it can be used for good, but also can be used for evil. We need to be able to separate the two. And we need to protect ourselves and our families and our children.
Protect our children. Guys, we are here for the children. I was thinking this morning, what is an advocate? What do an advocate do? What is an activist? I remember when, of course, we all know when we were back in the days when we were enslaved by the white people, how angry many years later that we would feel that anger, like what happened to George Floyd, how all of us were enraged at how crazy and unethical that was that happened to him. Everybody that was watching on the screen wanted to say, if I was there, shoulda, coulda, woulda, but we couldn't do anything because we wasn't there. So I'm saying that to say now we are here, and just as angry as you would be about someone enslaving someone else or lynching someone else or dragging someone behind a car, that's how angry I want you to get about the children. This is happening right here, right now, under our noses. Children are being taken from their parents in their homes. I said it before and I'm going to say it again. Children are being hijacked by social media. And parents, you are at fault. And let me tell you this in case you don't know it. God holds you accountable. So you need to pay attention to what's going on in your child's life. So if you haven't heard it in a long time, here it goes. You are accountable. And if your child get taken from you by teachers or those who are in the medical field to change your child's sex because you decided to let them have the phone and social media to be their guardian or teacher or
influencer,
babysitter, then you put it in their hands. It's like putting a gun in their hands and say, go commit suicide. Seriously, that's how endangered our children are right now. You talk about endangered species. It's like we're just letting our children, we're sacrificing them every day by letting them run their own lives. Children do not run the world. Parents, you are guardians. You run your household. But if you keep this up by letting them do what they want, you're going to be the one feeling left out. And that's because you were left out by leaving your kid out. The other thing it says on here, it says they get messages telling them which body types are the best. And don't forget, kids are being, they looking on there and they're thinking their bodies, they're comparing their bodies to somebody else's body, and it's making them feel so anxious. And what does the Bible tell us? Be anxious for nothing. They're making. Let me just continue to go on here. It says the culture makes you feel good about the lie. They get messages telling them, I just said that, which body type is best. Then they question, if you change your body through testosterone and surgery, then you would no longer feel like you're in the wrong body. That is a lie, because there's young ladies and young men coming out right now all over social media trying to tell children, don't do it. It's a lie. And they're telling parents to wake up and listen to your children and talk to your children, and don't be so hard as to not listen to them, but listen to what they are saying so that you can help them emotionally understand what's going on with them. And don't just get any therapist. Get somebody that you know that's been referred to you,
and
rather than
if the
just
child
anybody.
is really young,
5.
any therapy, the parents need to be involved in that therapy.
Sitting in the therapist's office.
Sitting in there until they get completely comfortable, and then maybe you might have a session with the child and the therapist alone, so the child feels like they might be able to open up more. I get that, but the parents, first of all, have to be involved in that. You just don't abdicate and say, okay, the school must know what they're doing, or so many
parents think that.
No, there's too much going on right now in the schools that is, some of it's downright evil.
So many parents think
again,
that it's okay.
This is not, most of the school people I know, the teachers and all of
We
that,
only know
aren't
so
those.
many people though.
But there are some that are in there, and we have to be aware.
What he's saying, and I agree with him, is we have to weed them out. But we can't weed them out alone. But I know that just like when we talked about the good cops, bad cops, back, when all the things were happening, there's good cops and there's bad cops. We don't know which one is which until we actually have an encounter with them, right? Same with teachers and school officials. We don't know which is which. We don't know unless we're, like for me, for instance, I get involved with my grandson's school because now we are his advocates, and I am going to stand 100% in front of him before I let you come and stand in front of him. Teachers, I get to know them online. I do talk to the teachers. I have seen the teachers. I haven't this year so far because it's only been 2 weeks they've been in school. But trust me, those teachers will get to know his grandmother. Those teachers will know his grandfather. The principal, they're going to know us. Why? Because he is not alone. We send him to the school, but he is not alone. He's going to the school because we okayed it.
Yeah. And it's important for him to learn. We need schools.
And the school, too, is part of the village. But we still have to actually pay attention to the people who we put in front of our children to make sure they're being taught what we agree that they're being taught. And we know a lot of stuff in school is bullshit out. Okay? So, another thing, parents have no idea until it's too late what's going on with their children due to detachment. Detachment is, let me give you an example. A lot of y'all give your kids phones for Christmas, birthdays, and whatever special occasion. And you have your parent guard on and you're all good to go with it. And then the kids start saying, Mama, can I please have this? Mama, can I please have that? And they will wear you down. And then eventually you just say, yeah, go ahead. Then you'll take off that parent lock. When you take off that parent lock, say a few months pass by and all of a sudden that happy go-getter kid you had is now sad, depressed, angry, and just, you don't know what to do. You don't know what's going on with them. Then you let them slam the door and close the door and be behind closed doors, and they come out with a whole nother agenda and they tell you, Mama, I don't want to be a girl anymore. Or they start wearing baggy clothes. Pay attention, because the warning signs are there. Don't just give your kids the phones.
Yep.
Because you're giving them
and the
clearances.
computers. That's the other thing.
And just television, period.
Yeah, there needs to be some guard, if you want, censorship in the family, where you have certain things in computers and phones and everything where you can screen out, and we need to find out how to do that, so that they can't access certain things. And the phone
Exactly.
has to be turned off if they're going to use the phone, and it has to be in the open room.
And you know what I hate more than anything is parents that are always trying to be friends with their kids. God didn't make you a friend with your child. He made you a parent or guardian. Don't get me wrong, we could be friends with our kids, but you still have to always be a parent until your child is, grown, 25 years old, 30, living on their own, taking care of their own bills, got their own, life. Then you talk to them in that friend-like base relationship, but they still your child. You still are their guardian when they're in your house. You still their guardian when they go to school. You are still capable of being the parent that God has made you to be. Now, the bullies are waiting to remove your child and change their identity. Parents, wake up. It is so imperative that you pay attention.